Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lethal Sales. We can't wait to hear what happened at NADA or in Snola. That's it, as Wendy says. It was quite the trip this year. So, who wants to start? Lar, you want to start?
Well, I was there first, so I'm going to
Okay,
go
you
first.
start, Peter.
So,
But Peter,
uh,
Mom always liked me better. When did we turn into the Smothers Brothers here?
Mom
Who was
could
there
like you the
first?
most. I don't care. I'm taller. So, there you go. Anyways, having said that, I got a great call on Sunday evening, late Sunday evening. Picked up my messages on Monday morning, and it was Earl Six Brown saying, "Get on a flight now." And so just as I was listening to the message, my phone came up with flight canceled for
Oh, my
Tuesday.
goodness.
And so I panicked and I jumped on the airline and they gave me a flight within 3 hours. And I live an hour and a half away from the airport, so it gave me an hour, but basically half an hour to get ready to go for a week long trip. Luckily, I have a very nice wife, and she helped me get out of the house as nice wives do. And off I was to the airport in a foot of snow. Got to the airport, got on the airplane, got to New Orleans, and I said, "Hey, it ain't so bad." Went to the rental car agency. No rental cars, and as everyone took the cars before the storm. And I said, "Hold on, there's something wrong here." So finally, as everything's done, I get down to the hotel and everything's good. Next morning, I wake up, no snow. I'm going, "What's going on? Why are people all worried about this?" About 3 hours later, there's about a foot of snow on the ground. And I go, "This is crazy. I'm on the Gulf of Mexico with a foot of snow."
Gulf
100-year
of
storm.
America.
Yep.
A foot of snow and palm trees. It just doesn't make any sense. People are rolling around on snow out in the street. They're making snowmen. They're putting them on the hoods of their car and driving around New Orleans like hood ornaments. These giant snowmen. I'm going, this is crazy. And then what could make it worse? No one could get in and no one could get out. So all the staff at the restaurants and hotels quit and they stopped working. We had no food for 2 days. We had no bars, no restaurants, no
Wow.
Walmarts were closed, Costco's were closed, everything was closed. Everything. Nobody could get in, no one could get out. The airport was closed. It was pandemonium. I'm getting calls from all over the world going, "How do we get to New Orleans?" And that's when planes, trains, and automobiles came into place. Where I sat on my computer with basically a pin and a piece of string and just kept on expanding the circle to the next nearest airport to help people get into New Orleans for this. So having said all that, there's been some crazy stories. Tom Klein takes the ticket for the craziest of them all, taking a 4.5 hour Uber ride from Jackson, Mississippi to New Orleans, and then tipping the guy $200 for doing it. That is crazy. That is dedication. People flew into Dallas, Houston, Madison, or sorry, Jackson, Baton Rouge, Pensacola, everywhere, Atlanta, and just drove. It was wild.
Mm.
But in the end, we had the show opened on time. The attendance was about 70%, as what NADA says that people came. The after events were incredible. There were some challenges out there. Someone we all know got pickpocketed.
Huh?
Another person I know got mugged very badly and robbed. I got assaulted by a lady of the evening on Wednesday night. I had to call the police to get her off of me. It
No
was
food, though, right?
it it was pure. It wasn't the big easy. I'll tell you that. It was very tough. but there were a
And Peter,
lot.
what are the chances that there's a story about a prostitute in the Big Easy and it involves you and not me?
And
Shannon, trust me, this one
and,
goes contrary to how the show usually runs.
and snow boots, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, she wanted to keep warm, she told me. And I was saying, I don't care, freeze, go away. But it was just incredible. But in the end, there was a lot of contacts made. I did a great video with Rockhead for their automotive humanity series, and going to do more with them. It was fantastic. Made a lot of contacts. Saw three of my clients have great booths, but again, the challenge was placement, and I don't think they're going to have an ADA again in New Orleans.
You think?
The other side of it, I just heard today that a whole bunch of people catch E. coli at one of the
Wow.
events,
Oh,
and so and then next year's NADA, I've been told they're moving it from the weekend to the full week in Vegas.
Never
So
heard that one before.
yeah, so they're starting it on Tuesday through Thursday. So people can fly in on Monday, get settled, and then fly out on Friday or stay the weekend if they wish. So that's what they're doing next year. So there's been a lot of talk and a lot of great things happen, and there were some great people there, and it was just all around fantastic. So with that, Tony, you weren't there. Ask away, and hopefully Larry and I and everyone who was there can answer your questions on the recap. Names might be withheld though.
Yeah, it seems to me about 10, maybe 10 years ago, NADA was in NOLA. And if I remember right, we got an ice storm that year. And it basically, we all got trapped at the end of the conference down there. And somebody at one of the malls, we went over to kill time at a mall, and they were from Wisconsin. And they said, down here, any reason not to work will work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but up here and where you're from, Peter, we don't shut down for snow. Are you
No.
kidding me? We
No,
don't
but the
shut down.
funny thing on that, as I drove in from the airport and they were talking about snow and this, and there wasn't on anything on the ground. It was cool, but all the signs along the highway said this bridge will ice. This bridge will
Hmm.
do this. This like it was all about cold weather, and I'm going, aren't I on the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America now? And it was I couldn't believe it that seeing all these things and then saying, well, if that's the case, then they're prepared for this kind of weather.
Yeah,
But
well, we got nothing here. Here it is, the end of January, supposed to be the coldest time of the year. We've had less than 5 inches of snow. I've
Wow.
plowed I've plowed 1.1 times, and today it was 48 degrees, and I was out without a coat on, nothing, taking some photos and videos. And tomorrow it's supposed to get to 50. So, you know what? I guess I'm not going to have to retire to Florida. I'll stay right here. By the time I retire, it'll be like Florida here. So, yeah, Wendy, it sounds like you had a very productive NADA. I'm calling it, I guess, SNOLA 25, huh? But it sounds like
Yeah,
you made the best of it. Is that right?
it was incredible. And I just want to say, my fellow cheesehead, um, so I had my first grandchild on October 27th, and my daughter lives in near the West
Kosa?
Dallas Memorial Hospital. So she's already like, Mom, are you thinking of moving back to Wisconsin?
Bring
She says, I
bring your
think we're going to have a
bikini.
couple more kids. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but anyway, she knows I will because my children never had a babysitter when they were growing up. It was always me or family members. I think it was a Greek thing. But anyway, so yeah, Tony, if you don't like the weather in Wisconsin, wait a minute, right? That's what we grew up on.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what it
That's the
was
way it
like. It
goes.
was reminiscent of Wisconsin. It was also reminiscent of whenever I would travel like to Auto Giants in the DMV area in Temple Hills, Maryland. They would with I got stuck there a couple of times in December, January. because of the interstate, they would close down the federal government offices like at the hint of snow because there too it happened
Yeah.
so snow was so seldom that they didn't have the right snow removal equipment. So it just stopped everything up. So they just kept everybody home. So that's pretty much what they did. I was talking to some guys at a smoothie shop waiting for my plane on Sunday, and they didn't come back to work till Friday at the airport. So they shut it down really, 3 full days, I think, pretty much, or for a lot of the staff. They must have had really low staff attendance those days. But it was great for us, Tony. We left here. I left Wednesday morning from Phoenix to San Diego, and I got on the plane, but my bags didn't because they literally canceled the
Ooh.
San Diego connector to New Orleans while I
Uh,
was boarding the plane, and they took
Mm.
our bags off. Teresa Bourdonnais was there too, and she had them remove her bags, but they removed bags for a dozen of us who ended up in San Diego without our bags.
oh
So I waited
man.
4 hours for those. And then I was on standby for a flight 24 hours later, and I was going to hang out at the airport. And then I see this post from Martha and Jordan and April Rain and whoever else. Hey, we're doing a caravan in Houston. Get to Houston and we'll drive from there. So
Road trip.
I drove with April Rain. Yeah, Shannon was part of that caravan. Shannon ended up with Jordan Cox and Katie Mars and Allison Rank. Or you can correct me in a second. I don't think it was Allison, but I ended up driving with Martha and April Rain, and it was the most wonderful trip. We drove a couple hours. We slept for 4 or 5 hours, shared a Hampton room, and got up and left at 7 a.m. And we got there like, I want to say 3 p.m. Things were slushy, but we made it. We had wonderful conversation. I'd never met her. I ended up not only going to the ATI initial event with the Shark Tank, and Fasten and Sales Assist were there, both companies that I had been talking to. So that was really exciting to be in that room. But yeah, Tony, we just did what we do. We just made the best of it. We hung out. I hung out with a lot of my V20 partner companies, and the president of our group, Scotty and Skip from Hippo Marketing, were at the same Airbnb that they had recommended. So we worked it out like with Ubers and all the rest of that stuff, and kind of shared that. So that was wonderful. And I got to hang out with them for a change. I didn't hang out with my gal pals. I didn't go hit up all the booths, Tony, but we planted a lot of seeds, and I think the spirit in the air, the energy was positive, and it was so much collaboration, so many people sharing tips and tricks to get there and then to navigate the convention while it was going on. I think we're going to see the results of the seeds that we planted well into February, and I think this is going to end up being a really great memory for all of us.
Sometimes when it all falls apart, it makes for the best memories, doesn't it?
It has to fall apart to come together sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, Tony.
Next up, digital dealer. We don't have to talk about it tonight, but yeah, I made a decision a couple months ago not to go to NAD this year because, as many of you know, I don't necessarily, as a quote unquote vendor, I don't work with car dealers, so it didn't really pay for me to go. Now, if my dealership would have asked me to go, I probably would have went. But as a vendor, for me, it doesn't make sense because car dealers are not my wheelhouse for that side of it. But I'm glad you made the best of it, Wendy.
Thank you,
Hey,
Tony.
Daryl, you were there and you were pushing your new platform. What did you think of it?
Based on your guys' stories, I got extremely lucky, I guess. I flew out Thursday, and my buddy actually works grounds crew for Southwest Airlines in New Orleans. And so he's like, buddy, I don't think you're going to be able to make it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, they haven't let any flights land in 2 days. And I'm like, man, there's no snow. I've seen pictures. There's no snow on the ground. And he's like, yeah, they're still not letting flights. And so they were telling people all kinds of nonsense. And really what the real thing was, it wasn't that they couldn't land. That was the lie they were telling people. they couldn't let them take off because they don't have de-icing machines.
That's right.
So they didn't want 50 planes coming in that they couldn't let take off because if it's under 37 degrees or something, you have to de-ice the wings. So he says, yeah, they haven't let. Well, I'm sitting, so I fly, boom, I get into Vegas. Says the flight's on time, I'm feeling good, and I can't do what you guys did because I didn't get a connection closer to New Orleans. So I'm like, if this flight gets canceled, I'm screwed. There's no thing. So I start looking, it gets delayed, and I'm like, all right, how do I get somewhere close? Vegas to that. So I find one Vegas to Jackson, Mississippi. My buddy says, oh, I'm there right now, but we're leaving. So I'm like, if I fly in at noon, I'll get there at 7, I can get a car. Thank God my flight actually went because all the rental cars were gone.
Yeah.
So finally, the flight takes off 4.5 hours later. I was the first flight from the West Coast they let hit the ground in New Orleans. And then they started letting other planes, but I was like, I didn't know how I was going to get there otherwise. And I had posted a video the night before saying, don't make excuses. You better find a way to get there. So I was like, man, this is really going to backfire um, if I can't get there. But I get there. It was really cool. The networking events were definitely better than the parties. Some of the parties were really cool. If you got to see Snoop Dogg, that was actually a really good show. But the networking ones were really cool. People were actually like, meeting new people, open to talk and communication, which was great. Talking to some dealers. What I found interesting, so I have the Acquisition Academy. I have one dealer now on it, but no one was really there. um, I would say overly serious about pulling the trigger on anything, but a lot of questions, how to do things like more than I've gotten before. And most of the time it's like, how much is it and how does it work? Right. And that's it. This was like, why would this work? They're like in-depth conversations,
Good.
which was great. And then what I also saw was, from an acquisition standpoint or just used cars, everybody was talking about it last year. Buying centers was like a trigger word, like AI and EVs. Um, this year was more of, oh, I guess we actually have to start doing it, right? So people were asking how to get started. Because before it was like, oh, I want to do that, but it almost felt like they were thinking about it. Now it's like
Yeah.
they were more action oriented. So made a lot of connections. Those of you guys who saw the post from Jason and Jordan about the Game Changer series, I'm doing all of those events. So, which I think is kind of the new way to do any of this. I think it is not only innovative. I did Used Car Palooza, and so it's a very similar format. You get a room, 40 to 50 GMs, and you have 3 or 4 people that are doing some kind of education or a pitch,
Yeah.
and then you network with them after. I just think that is just it's so more effective to be able to get to know people and then like have isolated conversations. So from that aspect, I thought it was great. Saw some interesting technology. Um, I'm even more anti-AI than I was before because now I've realized that there's 4 or 5 people that are using the adaptive or learning or the like newer generation AI, but how many companies I saw are basically pitching machine-based learning or machine-based AI was kind of surprising. So that was something that I was kind of surprised by that so many people are like, get AI, but it's the AI that banks have been using for God knows how long.
Mhm.
But from networking, I thought it was great. I have, I don't know, 75 business cards that I've been putting into my phone. I did have to leave early, had a family emergency come up, which for my wife's dad, so my father-in-law is in the hospital.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, and it's not a good situation. It is a hospital type situation at this point. But I came back to support her because there's not much I can do. Like, they have like 40 people at the hospital right now, just kind of waiting. But the 2 days I was able to get there before I had to leave, I thought it was great. I did not get mugged. I don't understand why people didn't want to jump me or steal from me. I was wearing some of the wildest stuff you've ever seen. I had an electric pink outfit, pink hat. I had crushed purple velvet. Like, I mean, I look like, the pimp on the street that you'd want to
Okay.
jump, but I couldn't get anyone to want to give me a hug like that, like
You,
Pete. So,
Hey,
Well, the
Daryl.
reason why is
Daryl,
you
can I
look
ask you a
like a
question?
local.
yeah, who?
Daryl, I got a question for you, buddy.
Yes,
Would
sir.
you take I just stood up a new acquisition website. Get a chance, smartbuyscars.com. Take a look
Smart.
at it and then reach out to me. You don't have to do it right now, but I just want to say that because I got a jet here in a couple minutes. But I just stood up the new website. I had to pull it off a Smart Toyota, and I had to stand up a new one because I'm using VinQ. But if you want to take a look at it, reach out to me. I'd love to get your feedback and see if there's somehow we can work together.
Absolutely. And then what
Thanks.
were you going to say, Peter?
What I was saying is that you look like a local.
Yeah, part of Mardi
Uh,
Gras.
I mean,
That's why you didn't get touched. It was,
I did walk around everywhere. Everyone was like trying to mess Ubers, but for some reason it took me longer to order an Uber than it did for me to walk anywhere.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
Uber was 2 hour wait at times.
yeah, it was crazy, which was kind of surprising because they were charging surge rates every day. So I would thought
Yeah.
like these guys would have been like, let me make that money as quick as possible. But um, and yeah, the first day that I was there, the probably the hardest thing is, I'm wearing dress type shoes. Uh, I've lived in Wisconsin. I've lived in places that actually snows, but ice is a tricky thing with dress shoes.
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah.
That was probably the hardest thing is like, I don't care. You could have 8 inches, 10 inches of snow. The ice and trying to like, slip and slide through that was pretty fun with some dress shoes the first night.
Well, the funny thing was on Canal Street, an ex NHL hockey player who lives in New Orleans now was skating up and down Canal Street in his ice skates. That was crazy. See you, Tony.
What happened to the old rubbers that guys used to put on their dress shoes?
Old rubbers.
The
I
rubber
Well,
remember
that doesn't
those.
sound right.
overshoes.
You know,
Totes.
okay. We called them, yeah, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, people of age called them rubbers.
Nothing helps you on ice but spikes, man.
Yeah.
Same thing
Yeah.
like when you're driving.
It was crazy. And
Yeah,
and then other
you
things
learn
that
how to
happened
walk.
at the show.
You learn how to walk
You
on your toes. You never let your heels drop, and you take very little step. Like you just kind of like if you
Like you're
try to
walking on
if you
eggshells.
take a long step, you're going to take a much longer step, and they call that the splits. So
You walk like
We
a
used to
penguin. That's the trick.
we used to own a Greek family restaurant years ago. So you walk on ice the same way you walk in a kitchen or you walk in a restaurant, like you're walking on eggshells, like any moment, any slight misstep and you're on your foam. So yeah, same in the ice. Yeah.
So what did you think, Shannon? You went there as an independent contractor and you were working the floors and the rooms and the parties.
I made so many amazing connections, and I too had a fun travel story. I showed up to the airport here in Tucson Wednesday morning and learned my flights had been canceled, and said, how close can I get? And they put me Tucson to Houston and then Houston to Jackson, Mississippi. So originally I was looking for someone to carpool from Jackson, Mississippi, because I'm in the desert. I don't know how to drive on ice.
Ah,
um, and not 5 minutes after I posted that on LinkedIn, Jordan Cox called me and said, "We have room. Do you want? We're carpooling from Houston. Do you want to come with us?" And I did not even know the other two ladies in the car. Allison Rank was actually the one who had the vehicle that we were riding in. So it turned into a really fun an educational road trip.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So contact, fun.
Yeah, it's one of the things about automotive is we learn to pivot very fast. And when we get a situation put in front of us and we have to get something done, we pivot. What Put a pandemic in front of us, we pivot. We put anything in front of us, we pivot. And another funny story, and Jeff doesn't even know it. I purposely went through Denver on the way home to meet up with Jeff for a drink on a layover, and not like I needed another drink in from New Orleans or anything like that. But so I get off the plane, and Denver Airport is a plane, a train, and an automobile to get to the terminal. It's that far away. You have to go for miles to get into the terminal. And finally, I meet up with Jeff, and we're sitting there and we're talking about golden retrievers because Jeff and I both have golden retrievers, and there's so many people of us that have goldens, and we were talking away, and his wife's there, and we're sharing pictures and everything and like that. And then one more story and one more story, and I'm going, oh shit, I got to get out of here. I got to get on a plane. And so finally, part ways, get through TSA again. It's the first time I've actually been locked out of the gangway to get on the plane. They closed the boarding, and I was literally the last person on the plane. I had to run to the gate to get there, and I was the last person on the plane. And in uh, typical Southwest nature, they made jokes about it. And the guy comes up and goes, "Sorry, they took a survey and they said you can't join the plane. And if you want to join the plane, you have to sit in the last seat in the jump seat in the back galley, and that's the only way they're allowing you to fly. Unless you're a Bills fan, then you can get on the flight, and then that's okay." And it's just absolutely, I love flying Southwest because it makes it fun. But yeah, so Jeff almost got me kicked off an airplane on the way home. So it wasn't just getting there; it was getting home as well. And it was amazing. And there were stories coming out of that show like crazy. The issue between a couple guys at the V20 party, which was incredible. That it blew around the neighborhood, as they say. Everyone heard about that story, and almost cost some people their jobs. It was just
I was one of the sponsors and I never heard it. What
yeah.
happened?
I can't say.
Okay.
It's being
What happens?
pulled from the air. But if you Jeff sent me the post in Denver. He heard about it in Denver at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
So
Mm.
it was quite unique. But it's all resolved now. But like I've never ever said that. I've never seen anything like it. This NADA was something else. Now,
I had a
Larry,
fun.
what did you pull from it?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I made some deals. I made a lot of contacts. Um, I didn't get a chance to see my buddies Jeff or Russell, but I spent considerable amount of time with Daryl Steed, which Daryl, I believe that's the first time we've gotten together face to face. I always enjoy my time with Wendy. I spent some time with Troy Glenn from CDK. I think you guys all know this guy. Spent time and went to dinner with David Lowitz, who's trade pending. You just can't have a nicer guy. Besides being knowledgeable and an expert in his field, he's just a great guy.
What does
I
he
went
do?
he's the top sales rep for trade pending, and he sells Russell because besides knowing his stuff, the most likable guy you could possibly imagine. So that was fun. I got to do, and Peter was with me, and Darrell was with us. John Ellis has
Yeah.
started a partnership with J.R. Toothman and Scott Simons and Frank Knox.
And the football draw was rigged. Otherwise, I would have won it. That
Frank Gore was there. The interesting thing with this guy, instead of it being like a novelty, the guy tore up two Achilles tendons and two shoulders in college, and he got drafted in the third round with the thinking being he wasn't durable enough. And for anybody that knows football, the guy played 16 years, which is a ridiculously long time to be playing running back. Ridiculously long. But it was fun. Just met a lot of people. Peter and I got to hang around a lot. We ran around on Bourbon Street at one point. We were on the balcony at Bourbon Street with Peter and Sean Armorer and Martha and April
April.
Simmons. It's just fun. It was just a fun, good thing. We got in, we got out. It's always good to see good people. There we go. Oh yeah, Kurt Warner was there. Here's a guy that couldn't make it in football, played in minor leagues, and then won a Super Bowl with the Rams with our old coach Dick Vermeil. It was just I just thought it was really a lot of fun, Peter. A
Oh,
little. I'll tell you the truth. I'm in pretty good shape, but my legs were hurting. I kept running from Stick's booth, which is 8,100, to Ian Nethercott's booth, which is 835, and across from Trade Pending. I would say there was a lot of walking, Peter. Would you agree?
oh, well, you measure it out that every booth is 10 feet. And at 9,000 feet, basically long was the whole convention, and it was about 100 feet wide, and that was a lot of
How
area
many
to cover.
meters?
Meters? Ah, ha, ha. That at
It
9,000 feet,
it measured
that'd
out
be 3,000 meters.
it measured out just at 1.5 laps around a football field.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy, but you know what? It was we went through it, and because I had booths all over the show, I was moving back and forth from one end to another all day long. And I honestly I didn't think that they would get it off because just before they opened on Friday, they were still putting down carpet. They were still they at 10 minutes before the show opened, they put over the loudspeaker all forklifts off the carpet.
Hey, Peter, Shannon just had a comment that she can't figure out how she missed Daryl Steed. Shannon, can you hear me? She
Yes.
going? Shannon, Daryl Steed was actually the best man at Peter's wedding. Apparently, the lady of the evening has a slightly different retelling of the night's event. So I would never be a provocateur, Shannon. It's not in me, but I'm
Hey,
just
Larry, I'm
relating
not
what
from
I heard.
Utah. I'm not from Utah. I don't have multiple wives.
Well, you never know if Trump gets his way and you become our 51st state, who knows, where they'll situate you, Peter.
That
Shannon,
doesn't matter at NADA.
I will send you pictures of the wedding. She made a lovely bride. Peter looked confused but happy, and Daryl did a fine speech as best man.
I can't wait.
No, all was good, but I heard a whole bunch of people got sick at the end of it. Um, don't know how. There was a water boil advisory. There was, but I guess by that time, the pickling juice had gotten out of me, and I was good to go, and I was Canada bound, so I missed it all. But Brad and Courtney Pascal got really sick,
Sorry to hear that.
um, and a couple others. So, but
For
crazy,
all
just crazy.
for all traveling, you guys, this is a PSA. Okay, it works everywhere you go. Doesn't matter which country. Every time you eat 2 shots of tequila, guaranteed you don't have water problems. Okay, this is it. Listen, it happens. Okay, no matter where I go, 2 shots of tequila with every meal, and you'll
Or
be just fine.
or a bottle.
Yes, Shannon, more information for you. Apparently, I just saw on Fox News that RFK was not accepted. So the new head of that will be Daryl Steed. Apparently, his universal cures seem to be accepted by lunatics everywhere.
Ab-
Shannon, I told
Absolutely.
you this was a fun group.
Yeah, you were not wrong.
The but another thing that I got to do, which I found absolutely wild, was hold an alligator, and that was at Mardi
No, no,
Gras.
wait a minute, Peter. I just want to get this straight. Jimmy Emmanuel's my witness. You pushed away a prostitute and held an alligator. We got to have a long talk, my friend.
They had the same
Somehow there's a
skin.
misguided concept here. When?
They had the
Let's
same
get
skin
Shannon in on this
texture.
one. This is getting a little too weird for me.
No, see, in Canada, we always take the bigger risk. It's always the bigger risk.
Wendy, I consummated a contract for a 4 rooftop client out your way in
Oh,
Sholo. Show
awesome.
Pine Top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great area. Great
Well, we would
area.
appreciate,
April's
Jeff,
got a
if
store
you
up there
wouldn't,
too.
Jeff, we'd appreciate if you wouldn't use the word consummated so soon after Peter and the betrothal. It's,
I never use
a
that
little
word, but
sensitive.
it came to mind while you guys were talking.
Now, the other funny thing is that, and I know none of you were at it because I was the only one there, was Glenn Lundy's early morning breakfast at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning.
You were the only one there?
Pretty much myself and Liza Borge and a couple other people,
Wow.
and no Glenn Lundy. So
Uh-uh.
Glenn didn't show up too early. But it was, there was so many things that happened. But the one thing I missed this year was there were no planes in the convention center. The last 2 years there were planes there. And I was like, that's strange. I wonder why there's no planes. But I
I heard
guess
it was there and they removed it because they didn't want us to have flashbacks of our travel journeys.
Yeah, probably so.
we probably try and buy them on the spot to get home. So, but that was the other thing. Dealers and vendors that had private planes, they were giving them out to people to get to New Orleans. Like John Hamlin just called up a bunch of people and said, "Hey, my plane's sitting in Detroit, in Daytona. If you can get there, it's yours. How much do you want for it? Nothing. Just get to NADA."
Wow.
Very cool.
The people that Scott Simons and J.R. Toothman got on, that was another gift from a dealer just saying, "Get to NADA. I know it's a big year for you. Get
Wow.
down there." So there was
That's
a
way
lot
cool.
of generosity, a ton of generosity this year. The NADA opened up the dealer party on Thursday night for free. Normally they soak us for $250 per ticket, but they opened it up for free this year, which was nice.
Yeah.
They also what else did they do?
I thought Jason's party after the NADA event was fabulous at the, what
Jason
was it
who?
called?
Harris.
Jason Harris at the observatory, or what was it called?
Yeah. Oh,
And
the party that someone said, "Oh, it's in that big round dome on the hotel top," when it wasn't. I went to the
Yeah.
wrong hotel and then I had to walk 20 minutes to another one.
it was called Observatory 11 or something.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful because it was a great launch to the event after the NADA thing, especially for those that had just arrived, that they just kind of came how they were. And it was comfortable. There was great ambiance. It was, we had a couple cocktails, we chatted pre-show. And then most of those people I did not see again. So I was thankful that we were all there and that Jason had opened it up to everybody.
And then we all went to the iHeart radio party on Bourbon Street. And everyone that went from Jason's party to the iHeart radio party didn't realize that on a table, as we walked into the party, was a set of Ray-Bans with built-in speakers, both speakers, as a gift for showing up. And we never picked them up.
Oh, no.
Not a single one of us. So there was like 8 of us that walked in, and not one of us picked up one of the gifts. But there was some great giveaways this year. There was Icon did custom made Nikes. If you took a demo, they make a set of custom made Nikes for you with your logos, with everything on it. iPacket was giving out a pair of green Air Jordans to match theirs.
Trade Pending did too, didn't they?
Pardon?
Trade Pending did as well, didn't they?
I think
Orange?
Trade
No,
Pending.
Trade Pending had the orange shoes, Russ.
Right.
Yeah, that
Oh.
Digital Airstrike did orange shoes as well. There
Only
was
Peter, the only problem with the green Air Jordans was you risked your life if you got in between the shoes and Brook Furnace.
Right.
Yeah. Brooke had a challenge getting in too. So, but she finally got in with Brian Ortega from San Diego.
If Brooks' house, God forbid, caught fire, she'd be running out with a box full of sneakers. Her priorities are very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. So there was some great gifts. Who was it? Was giving away Maui gyms for a demo.
Wow.
So like
Yeah.
$300 sunglasses. You take a
Wish I would have
demo,
known
you
which
get
demo that
pair.
was.
So do the math real quick. If you went there, paid whatever the ticket and stuff to get in, paid for your flight, you could just go around and collect swag and then
Yeah.
come back home and sell it, and you'd be ahead of the game, right, Russell?
Probably so. Yeah.
Pretty close. There was some ticket who was giving away Co-Video was giving tickets away to the Indy 500.
Nice.
Um they there was just some incredible swag that was being given away, and then there was the cheap stuff. There was the phone charger and stuff like that, and you're going, guys, you got to step up your game if you want the traffic flow. Like a iPhone charger, that a magnetic iPhone charger ain't gonna do it.
About 10 years ago, I won 3 iPods at one NADA from drawings with three of them.
I took a demo at CDK in Dallas and got the watch,
Sweet.
the Apple Watch.
Yeah,
That
Tell
I
you
was
what
was
I
kind
think.
of,
Go
I
ahead.
would say I was surprised it being in New Orleans that of all the vendors that were there, that no one was giving away a chance to win Super Bowl tickets.
yeah.
Like when you think about it, like Super Bowl's 2 weeks
Didn't
later, like
you
That's
didn't
what
have enough ROI, my buddy.
that's what that girl was trying to sell Peter when she accosted him.
She was a cheap fan, so I just didn't want to be
I will
around her.
not allow you to disrespect Peter's fiance. Enough with this, okay, you
Over.
guys?
Okay. Listen, the Chiefs, I'm glad they got there. It'll be great to see the Eagles beat them and ruin their chances at a three-peat.
Well said.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, while we're on Jimmy
And
Emmanuel,
this just
please,
got political.
Yeah.
please forgive me, Jimmy. I was supposed to get you some stuff. I got crazed. I picked up a bunch of new dealerships, and it was like wild thing. But I am home tomorrow night, Friday or Saturday. I'll get you everything you need, my buddy. I didn't forget you.
Larry, I'm so happy for you, man. Well done.
But you know what? I didn't really do too much. Thomas Citarano sent me to a dealer in Key. He was nice enough. That was the time, Russell, that him and Paul Brobson came and caught my show for 3 hours. So somehow he tripped over a guy, and the guy said, "I'm dying for people." He says, "Call Feldman." So I killed him. I had 4 or 5 hired already. I had 14 in class. Uh, and it was really good. And I got my old buddies Gettle. I'm going there next week. And then I'm booked in New York. And then I'm going to Texas, where I'm going to tie in with Tim Hayden. That'll be a ball. I'm going to meet a bunch of dealers. But it's the old thing. If you keep your head down and do what you're supposed to do, good things happen. I don't think anybody on this show thinks it's a mystery that when you do what you're supposed to do consistently, good things happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you
It's
know
not
what's
luck.
interesting too? Wendy said earlier about the parties and get to see certain people. Isn't it amazing that we're in an industry where even if peripherally we compete with each other,
Yeah.
there's such incredible camaraderie. It's not like, oh yeah, pretend I like you. Man, I get so happy when I see Wendy or when Russell's around. Me and my boy Peter Smith had a ball. I had a chance recently to film some videos, and Mike Larkin came down with Gary Silman. We just laughed our butts off all day. So we're lucky to be in an industry where our competitive nature is tamped down by our camaraderie. That's unusual, I think, in a business this competitive.
Speaking
I
of
agree.
videos,
I think personally that the walls are coming down more and more the further we get away from COVID. Because it was what gave us all the opportunity to be seated at virtual tables where we didn't have to fly here and there and everywhere. And I don't know, me, it's all about the relationships. That was my fourth NADA. Fred and I did the first couple where all we did was meet people, even last year. And I honestly haven't really prospected at any of them. I had planned to this year, but with the way it ended up folding was I had much larger connections. It was more quality than quantity. So I'm very confident about what'll come from that. But my point is the same as BDC flavors. I mean, BDC flavors, we're all different, and there's enough dealers to go around.
That's
And
right.
me personally, if I don't like you, I'm not going to work with you. I got a terrible poker face, and I
Yes, you
mean,
do.
like if you ever see
And
me
I
turn
love
off,
you for it.
I do, Russell. If you ever see
I
me
know.
turn off my video when I'm in a meeting, it's probably because I don't want you to read my face because I'm thinking, holy shit, sorry, Rhonda, I had to do it. Where's the jar? So yeah, so I think that we're all realizing that it's people and that it's collaborations and partnerships and helping one another and pull out whatever quote you want to. I'm not one of those that remembers who said what, but if you help enough people get what they want, et cetera, et cetera. But just introducing people and letting them work it out themselves. I mean, they're ultimately going to work with whoever gels and fits their culture and everything. So I think it's amazing. I think it's
So
about people before it's about our roles and everything. And I think we're people helping people from the top to the bottom.
speaking of people helping people, Daryl just dropped our podcast that Daryl and I did be together. So please take a look at Daryl's feeds and take a view of me giving my soapbox speeches on how the car business is. I know I can be quite colorful on the words I choose for
At times
operations
you
and
are, but most of the time you're politically correct.
It's called
try. I
pontific.
try.
I'll be 100% honest. I tried to bait him into being extremely incorrect, and he was being way too much. So
You
I
had the wrong
I
get. You
told
had the
him
wrong guest on, Darryl. You
I
should have
told
had
him
me
it
on.
was
You would have had no
unfiltered.
encouragement problem.
Yeah, I told him it was unfiltered and to tear off and go crazy, and he was like, "Ah, we'll keep it classy this time."
You
Is
had the
No,
anybody
wrong lethal sales partner on, Peter. He should have turned me loose.
is anybody going to business bourbon and cigars?
now I'm thinking about that. It's expensive. It's four
I
grand
can't.
or three
I
grand or
can't.
something like that. It's expensive, and I don't know what the ROI on that is.
I
So
tried and I can't get in because I'm BDC. But talk to April
I
Simmons
I
about that, Peter. She's
I
been
can't I
going for
can't
4 years.
yeah, I can't get in either. I
Yeah.
last time I bought a ticket 2 days later they refunded it.
Yeah.
really,
Oh, well. What are you going
hmm,
to do?
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Control the controllables.
It's a vendor thing exactly. But listen, the people there are wonderful, and if it's something you can do, it's a great. I don't. You're not going to have any tangible ROI, but you will from the connections you make, from
Okay.
Sandy Cerami to Lori Halter, John Traver, on and on and on. Scott Joseph. There's a lot more than that there, but that's just a
Hey,
few. I'll be able to go soon. I just couldn't go this year just because a conflict with one of the sponsors.
hey,
April and
Rhonda,
Keely
Gary
speak
Silman's
very
trying to
highly
get
of
in.
it.
Could you let him in, please,
April and
Rhonda?
Kaylee speak very highly. They've been there 3 or 4 years and they have gotten so much out of it.
Yeah,
So much.
yeah. I
So,
just
and
saw
also,
April's post. Yeah.
yeah, I want to talk Jeff and Daryl. I want to hear more about Daryl, your acquisition thing. So and Shannon, you should reach out to everybody here and get to know them. But I'm going to shut up now so Gary can.
Acquisition
Well, you're
thing.
in, Gary. You can speak now. As they say, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, for the next 7 minutes or 8 minutes anyway. Come on, Gary.
I'm trying to start. I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. There I am. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Wonderful. Blessed.
I'm sorry I missed the show. I wanted to say goodnight to everybody or catch up late. I just ended up dropping my daughter, my 21-year-old daughter. My wife and I just brought her to Logan Airport, and she's on her way to a semester in Spain. And how cool is that? And my family, my older daughters, and my wife, we're going to go meet her in Madrid
Hey, Katie.
in March. So I'm blessed, and I'm
Just
happy
on a
that
podcast. Can I?
my
That I'm
girls are
filming.
all
Can
set.
I?
We're going to have a
Can I call you
family
in 5
trip,
minutes?
and now
Thank
I
you.
get to go to work again. So I got to pay for my retirement. So good to see you, Larry. I'm not sure what I missed. I'm thrilled about what happened at NADA.
You missed the cash giveaway for people that
Okay,
were on
oh
early.
well.
And orange tennis shoes, Nikes.
Orange tennis shoes. You missed the detail of Peter's second marriage with
And
Daryl being the best man. I don't know
getting
how Peter felt
molested by
about it, but
a lady
Shannon
of the
loved it.
night. Yeah.
Oh, oh, I missed everything then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a good thing I stayed away from New Orleans. I would have got caught up in the snow. So good seeing everybody tonight.
You too, Gary.
Yep.
And Gary, we're still set up for three. I think it's either 3 or 3:30 on
3
Friday.
o'clock. We're
Yep, okay.
3 o'clock.
I'll be there.
We're gonna continue to learn about AI. Boy, is that amazing.
Don't mention that around Daryl Steed. He breaks out in hives.
If it's the right AI, I'm in.
Hey, when I can type in my brain into a computer and it'll tell me what to post and how to post it, I'm in. So Gemini or whatever I'm learning,
Yeah, but it's an inhuman contrivance, okay? It's like, who the hell needs navigation when I have a wife? She always tells me when to turn. It's usually at the wrong street or the wrong highway, but her voice is less annoying than the navigation voice.
What does it guys say about they're thankful for their wives? Otherwise, they would have had no idea that they don't know how to drive, that they don't know how to do this right, that they don't know how to do that right.
When
Because you don't need Google.
My wife is a medical records technologist. She's got college out the wazoo, and she's really bright. She has zero sense of direction, and I'm worse. So we drive 92 miles and come to a cross street. I swear to God, she puts her right hand out and says, "Make a left." Well, listen, could any normal person live with me?
No.
I
We'll have to answer
I hear that.
unanimously, okay?
Hey, Wendy,
Yes, Gary.
you were cooking the other day, and Fred was admitting what he was eating, and you were heading to or New Orleans, and you were cooking up in the. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I was crying because before, when I met my wife, she would say, "Where would I shop?" I was a car guy my whole life. The convenience store. I lived on Cocoa Puffs and macaroni and cheese, and I still go to that all day long. So the with Fred,
wait a minute, hold on. Cocoa Puffs, not Pebbles?
Cocoa Puffs, no
Okay.
Pebbles, but I am Pebbles, or I have they're a favorite.
Hey, Daryl, how cool would it be when RFK gets in and we see Gary Silman eating tofu? Boy, this is going to be a culture
I don't
change.
know. I don't know about that.
But Gary, Fred was a framer all his life, so he was used to fast food and eating on the way to the site and eating on the way home from the site. And he's got the man cave, and I've got my living room with my business set up. And yeah, popcorn and potato chips and Coke Zero and not as a bug in a rug that Fred is.
Classic. So I was just wanted to. I was hysterical, and all you were doing is cooking in your kitchen.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm going to tell him that because he doesn't want to post much. Because I said they want to know you. They want to know what you're doing, who you are. They don't care what you do for a living.
Hey, we haven't heard.
I'll tell him that.
We only have a couple minutes, and we haven't heard from our good friends Jimmy Emanuel and, of course, Mr. Michael Larkin. Jimmy, any thoughts or any comments, my buddy, or Mr. Larkin? We love to hear from you.
I'm just sitting back eating popcorn, enjoying the show as usual.
Look, me too, man. Popcorn. It's the show.
Russell, I always thought you were a completist. Where the hell are the milk duds or the junior mints, man?
I don't do milk duds anymore. It had red dye number 7 in it or something. I don't know.
Busted a tooth.
But what happens if you're completely healthy, exercise every day, and never eat anything bad, and a safe falls out of the
listen,
building
I'm fixing
and hits you in the head,
Yeah, I'm fixing to start back. I got of course, while all of you were having fun at NADA, I was recovering, but it's been 2 weeks tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be able to get back to my walking and exercise routine. My wife says, "No, you're lifting wrong. That's why you got hernias." And I said, "No, babe, listen, I know how to lift weights." And she said, "No, you don't. No, you don't." I said, "I'm telling you, I do." She said, "No, that's why you got your hernia." And I said, babe, I mean, it's not like I lift 300 pounds. I'm doing, biceps, triceps, and some, sit ups and bench presses. That's it. And it's like, I've been doing this all my life. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to get it. The last hernia is going to be in your belly button because you already got the left and right done. So I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see.
We will
Like,
pay attention. By the way, I just got two sets of texts. The first is from Michael Larkin, who claims, quote, that my Zoom mobile won't get off mute. I also then got a text from Shannon, Wendy, and Rhonda wanting to know how they could mute me. I don't think it's going to be possible on this call, but
so
it's a noble thought, ladies.
I will tell you, I get the long awaited S25 Ultra with Gemini, the new Gemini platform on it. I'm really excited and looking forward to that. I get it tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah,
Anybody
I
else?
think
Anybody else?
Apple has AI built into their 16, whatever they're up to.
Well, I didn't want to brag, Russell, but they're delivering to my house when I get home my new sundial and abacus. So like I'm moving really
An
heartily into the
abacus?
13th
Are you
century.
serious? Where did you find one of those?
Russell,
No,
I
no,
haven't
no,
been
no, no.
serious
I
for
thought
11
you,
years, brother. It
Larry,
hasn't impeded my progress.
Larry, I thought you were getting the new 100-foot phone cord.
Here's how this works. Peter handles all the technical stuff. I tell the jokes and Rhonda puts it on LinkedIn. This is not complicated, folks. We have it down to a science.
Thank goodness.
I love you guys. What's it's almost bedtime for me. What's on for tomorrow?
Tomorrow is your show,
Not
Russell.
mine. No, I'm participating only. But anyway, go ahead. It's my
Is driving the service back into service. And basically, and it's going to be yourself, Michael Barrich, and David Sparks are the guest hosts. We're going to talk about how to actually improve the guest experience in the service drive. And that's so we're going to highlight a little bit about what you do and what they do and how to change the dimensional aspect of that part of the dealership.
Russell, you up to it? Because if you're not feeling good, I can get some John Lennon glasses, put them on, and say, "What the hell's the sense of having a service department if you don't have people? Call Larry Feldman, damn it."
That's
I'll be
right.
glad to do that for you, Russell.
And every now and again, holler out, right on.
Right on.
So
I'll be there. I'll be there at 7. But boy, I know sometimes those go on pretty long, depending on how engaged it is.
No, we'll get you in and out first, Russell. That's not a problem.
No, we should. We're all gonna like together type thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Most stuff goes out tonight, so we shall see it tomorrow, and we got some really amazing announcements coming up with women in automotive and everything else that
Are you doing another one of those too? Yeah, right. Good.
Yeah. Stephanie Wedgwood is going to be joining the show as a spokesperson. Got a couple people from iHeartRadio coming on board for women in automotive. So it's going to be that side of it is going to start getting promoted pretty heavily.
What about Wendy and Shannon?
Yeah, and it's going to all kinds of stuff is going to happen in that space in the next 2 to 3 months. So
Peter, I'll be flying home. If the plane dismantles purposely and on time, I will be glad to join you. I hate to miss your podcast, my brother.
You know it'll be on when you're in the car on the way home too. So you don't have to worry about that.
Wonderful.
And that one's 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Clubhouse. So you got to look for it.
Yep.
Watch LinkedIn.
Shannon, we're glad you joined us. It's always good to see the rest of you. Daryl, pop in any damn time you want. You're all welcome. We love your company. We love your input. And we thank you all. And just everybody be careful, stay healthy.
And we love you, Larry.
I believe my mother and God, because my mother always kept an eye on me. My wife, and by the way, Russell, I used to say only 3 people love me: my drummer, my mother, and my wife. But I want to go on record. My drummer is the only one that can play a blues shuffle. Just so we know where I stand with everybody.
There you go. All right, gentlemen. Thank
Good night,
you.
And
everybody. Good night,
ladies.
And
everybody.
ladies, stay
And
healthy.
ladies.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, ladies
Good
and
night, everybody.
gentlemen.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night, guys. Love you.
Night.